Hey everybody, this is Bricks and Blocks Gaming. I'm Alan, and in this video for the game of Stargrave, I'll be continuing to play through the Last Prospector supplement with the 9th battle for my campaign, which will be the Scrap Heap. I'll show you the crews, then get to the bricks and blocks of this scenario. Captain Errooo is still level 23, carrying his Flamethrower of +1 damage, his rapid fire, a knife, and is wearing heavy armor. And his first mate Sergeant Ruga is now level 10, and this scenario prohibits combat armor unless a crew has a UMI faction standing of 6 or higher. So he's wearing heavy armor, and his swift suit increasing his move by 1, and carrying picks, a deck, and a pistol. The Mercenaries of the Iron Golem still consist of their burner, their Pathfinder that has a regular shotgun, because I forgot to write down he found a shotgun of +1 shoot in their last battle, their Lady Pathfinder carrying their grapple gun and a carbine, Trooper with a carbine, Daughter Ryla, the gunslinger, their robots, the sentry with a shotgun, a chiseler fitted with a force shield bracelet, and their Repairbot that comes with their ship's charging bay, and their sentry with a shotgun. Captain Smada is now level 22, and is wearing light armor and carrying his hand weapon, picks, a deck, a med kit, and a pistol. And he has to pay 20 credits before the battle due to his lingering injuries. His first mate, Blinky, is level 8, carrying his flamethrower, knife, picks, and a deck since he lost his micro-transporter in the last battle. And he's wearing heavy armor. The crime gang of the Negator consists of their Pathfinder with a shotgun, Robot Striker, who's starting the battle badly damaged with just 7 health, Bruiser, Medic, the Shangri-La that joined due to their ship upgrades, Sniper with a shotgun of +1 damage, Engineer with a hot shift pack, which allows him to take 2 shots at 2 different targets at the cost of leaving his carbine inoperable, their Hacker, and Trophy Taker with a shotgun with a 16-inch range. This scenario calls for a standard table setup, except it's supposed to look like a scrap heap. So I've got broken machinery and vehicles scattered about, and it does call for 6 mining robots to be placed, so I have them set up as directed. These robots are unaggressive to start out, but during each creature phase, 2 of them are going to start activating and coming after the crew. On the first turn, no crew members are allowed to make any shooting attacks, so they won't be able to shoot at these robots before they've started coming at them. And that's to kind of simulate that these robots are here just to clean up the messes, but their security protocol starts to come into effect as hostiles enter the area. And there's a chance that 2 more of these robots could appear during the game. If a team gets a poor initiative roll, they have a chance to bring another one of these out. And they're really strong with +4 fight, 14 armor, and 16 health. So they could really cause some problems for the crews. As far as faction standings go, since neither team has a standing with a UMI of at least 6, neither team can field combat armor, so that does affect Sergeant Ruga over here, so he is wearing heavy armor instead this battle. And since they have a standing of at least 3 with the UMI, they can add +3 to any or all initiative rolls during the game. And there's also a benefit for teams having a standing of at least 3 with the Freeholders League that gives them the chance to add +1 to every initiative roll. But since both teams have a standing of at least 3, I'm just going to say neither team can add that, just to make things a little simpler. Smada's team is set up over here on the right as usual, and Captain Errooo's team is set up on the other side. For before game powers, both of the Armoury powers failed, which doesn't really matter because Ruga doesn't have any combat armor, but Errooo did successfully use Toxic Secretion, so he is going to make this Pathfinder and that Trooper cause toxic damage on any damage they inflict. And the scenario setup does say that the central loot token should be physical, so that is set up here on this structure that I built about a year ago and never got around to using. And since Smada gets a secret every game because of their standing with the Darksiders, if they are able to get that central loot, then they have a chance to get something nicer out of that loot. There's also a physical loot here, a data loot up there on that skiff, And then there is a data loot here and a physical loot up here on top of this. The crews have come here because they've learned that the Last Prospector has spent a lot of time here looking for specific parts amongst the scrap. And so they're hoping that if they can find something strange or unique here, that might give them the final clue as to the whereabouts of the Prospector. And before the first turn, each one of these mining robots is going to make a 6-inch random movement. And so over here, this guy rolled to move 6 inches over here. This one with the double claws rolled to come up here. This yellow mining robot is coming up here. And then to the other side of the table, all of the robots have decided to congregate towards this area. And this last one will be right over here. Initiative for the first round goes to Captain Errooo. For the first round, Errooo is going to activate by himself. Nobody has to worry about cover because there's no shooting attacks this first round. He'll move 5 inches, then power move here, and attempt to restructure body since he failed on that before the game. Needing a 10, he gets a 9, he will exert for 1. And the captain is now immune to being wounded. Moving over to Captain Smada's turn, he will activate with his Shangri-La and his Striker. He'll send the Striker up. The Striker is at half health because he was badly wounded during the last game, so he's got just 7 health for this battle. He'll move to there, and then the Shangri-La will double move up 9 inches to right here. Then Captain Smada is going to move up and power move, and he will attempt to inspire the Shangri-La on a 9. And he gets a 19, which is successful. So the Shangri-La is bumped up to +3 fight, and then we'll go to the first mate phase, where Sergeant Ruga will activate with the burner. He will send the burner up here, 7.5 inches on a double move, and then he will follow behind, and he's going to attempt to use coordinated fire on the burner. Needing a 10, he gets exactly what he needs. So his move and power move will get him to there, and the burner is now up to +3 shoot. And then Blinky over here will activate with this hacker. He'll start with having the hacker run around here, double moving 9 inches over to here. And then Blinky is going to follow him down here, so he'll be able to keep line of sight on him and attempt to use transport on him, needing a 12. And he gets just a 7, so he will let that fail. Then moving to the soldier phase, this Pathfinder will move up here to try to get near this data loot. The Repairbot is going to follow very slowly behind, moving just 7.5 inches on his double move. This sentry will move 7.5 inches over here next to near his captain. This Chiseler robot will move up here, total of 9 inches. Their Pathfinder here is going to run over here. She's got a grapple gun, so she might try to climb up this tower. Their Gunslinger is going to double move over here, past this little rock outcropping. Their Trooper is going to run up here and start climbing the rocks. And then their Sentry is going to run over here to try to help out his captain if some of those robots over there start activating. And to Captain Smada's soldiers, they'll have this Engineer double move 9 inches over here. Their Sniper and their Trophy Taker are both going to double move 9 inches over here. Their Pathfinder is going to double move into the back of this dumpster. And then up towards the top of the board, this Medic can double move over here near this skiff, and then the Bruiser is going to double move 9 inches right over to here. And at the start of the creature phase, 2 of the robots on the battlefield will lose their unaggressive trait and act as normal. And the 2 that rolled to do that this turn are the 2 back here. So we'll start with having this yellow one. He'll move into combat with this Medic, who is close to him. And that will put him within 1 inch of this Bruiser, who will snap into combat. And the bruiser has less health than the medic, so the robot will attack the supported bruiser. That puts the crewmate at +5 against +4, and with a 7 against 7, nobody deals any damage on that one. And then the other robot will move into combat with the bruiser and attack with a +4 against just +3 now for the bruiser, since it's a 2-on-2 there. And that's a 19-7 with +2 damage, because these robots have the strong trait, dealing 10 damage and leaving the bruiser wounded. And all of the other robots will move randomly, a single movement. This one here, rolled to just turn around and check out this broken ATST. This one here is going to run through here. The one next to him is going to run over this way, or maybe slowly walk. And then the last one over here is going to move off into this direction here. And starting on the second turn, during the initiative rolls, if any player rolls a 1 to a 4, they get to place another mining robot anywhere on the table that's at least 3 inches from a figure, and that robot will not have the unaggressive trait to start out. And the initiative this round goes to Errooo, but both of them rolled less than 4, so they'll both get to place a mining robot. So Errooo will place this robot here, right here. It has to be at least 3 inches from a crewmate, so it'll be over here trying to stop those guys. And then towards the back of the table, we'll just grab this thing here, and it will end up showing up 3 inches in front of Errooo here. And that's going to put a lot of robots here, potentially stopping Errooo from getting towards either of these physical loot tokens. And to start out the next turn, Captain Errooo over here is going to activate with his Chiseler, and the Chiseler is going to take a +1 against +4 shooting attack against that aggressive robot that just showed up. And he hits with a 19 against 13. And that deals 5 damage and stuns that robot. And then the Chiseler is going to just move a single move over here so that he is still in cover. And then Captain Errooo is going to attempt Adrenaline Surge. Needing an 8, he gets an 18. He'll go ahead and forfeit his power move, and with his bonus action for this round, he's going to fire his Flamethrower down here, hitting all 3 of these robots. Even though 2 of these are unaggressive and they might become aggressive, they're probably going to become aggressive anyway, so might as well try to damage them while they can. This is a wide open shot to all 3 of these robots. Erroo's a +6 against the stunned robot, who is also at +6 for this, and at a tie that does miss. Against the robot with the blue head, +6 against +4, that is a 25 against 9. Errooo is carrying an advanced flamethrower that deals an additional +1 damage, so +3 total. And since these robots aren't actually wearing any armor, the normal ability for the flamethrower to ignore armor doesn't do anything here. But after missing this robot, he ends up dealing 14 damage to this one. Unfortunately, they have 16 health. And against the other robot, that is a total of 21 against 19. And he deals 10 damage to this one, so he's down to 6. So all 3 of these robots are stunned. And if a robot takes any damage, they lose their unaggressive trait. So those 2 will be activating in the creature phase this turn as well. And then Errooo is going to do a regular move right back here, taking cover behind this vehicle. Going over to Captain Smada, he is going to attempt inspiring on the Striker. Needing an 8, he gets a 16. And with the Striker bumped up to 6 fight, he will then power move and move over here behind the Pathfinder. Moving to the first mate phase, Sergeant Ruga over here is going to activate by himself, and he is going to attempt to use a Wall of Force. Needing a 12, he'll go ahead and exert for 5 and take 1 point of strain to make that work. And he's going to put that up right here to prevent that robot from coming over and from shooting attacks from coming over here. Then he is going to power move and move over here. And then we'll go to Blinky's turn back here. He will activate with this hacker who's just within 3 inches, and he'll attempt to transport the hacker. Needing a 12, he'll exert for 1 and take 1 point of strain damage. And with that success, he will move him 6 inches right up on top of this skiff. And then Blinky decides that those guys up there are on their own, so he will power move and move around this way, staying in cover. And then this hacker who activated with him will move over here next to this data loot and attempt to unlock it. The +7 needing a 14 easily opens that up. And so this loot is sitting there waiting to be picked up. And now for the soldier phase. For Errooo's soldiers, they'll start out with this Pathfinder here, lobbing a grenade right over here between these 3 stunned soldiers. She's a +3, and she gets a +2 because she can see the location. With a target number of 12, the +5, that puts it at 10. Failing by 2, that makes it go 2 inches this way, is the way the die was pointed. So it won't hit that robot, but will still be in range of both of these 2. Both of the robots are at +6 because they're stunned against +3. Against the one that's mostly black, that hits with a total of 18 against 12, and that deals 4 damage. Then against the other one, and that is a critical hit. So that leaves this black one at 7 health. And this one here is easily destroyed with that critical hit when it only had 2 health remaining. And then this Lady Pathfinder is going to move 7 inches around here, right into contact with this data loot. And then they'll have their burner with the coordinated fire run up to that Pathfinder's position, previous position, and lay down a line of fire here against these 2. That's a +3 hasty shot against +7 for the stunned robots. Against the black one in the front, that misses, and against the other one, that one also misses. And since that flame attack did absolutely nothing, this sentry robot is going to run up here and act as cover for the burner, and he will fire his shotgun at that robot. A +2 hasty shot against +7 misses. And with another miss, then they'll have this sentry here fire his shotgun with a +2 against +6, and that hits its target with a 21 against 13, dealing 8 points of damage. And that is just enough damage to take down this one. Then the sentry will run over here next to this chiseler robot. And then they'll have their trooper take a shot at the last remaining stunned robot. Trooper is a +3 against +6. That is an 18 to 19, which misses. So that carbine blast just ricochets off the armor of that robot. Then their gunslinger is going to run over here right in front of this sentry and then take a hasty shot at that robot. That's a +4 against +7, and she misses. And after another miss, to finish off the soldier phase here for this team, this little guy is going to run right up here past Sergeant Ruga and take cover there at the foot of that ATST. And then going to Captain Smata's soldiers, they'll start out with having this striker. He will run up this ladder over next to this physical loot on 7 inches. He can get right to that. And with his +3 will, he will attempt to unlock the central physical loot. He needs a total of 14 and gets that with a 19. So with that unlocked, he can grab that to immediately try to carry that off the table. And then we will move down here to this Pathfinder, who will move out of this dumpster over here. And from right there, he will lob a grenade up over this wall right at these 2. And he can see the location because walls of force do not block line of sight. The +5 needing a 12, that lands right on target. Against Sergeant Ruga, it's a +3 against +6, and that hits with a 22. He doesn't have his combat armor, so he only has 11 total armor, which deals 11 damage to him. And since the first mate exerted to create this wall of force, he only had 10 health left, so he actually goes down. The Pathfinder is a +3 against +3, and he defends that with an 8 to a 7. And then moving over here, this Engineer will fire his +2 carbine at this +4 defense mining robot. And he misses with a total of 5 against 9. And since that didn't work, he is going to run past the unaggressive mining robot and into combat with this much stronger mining robot here. Then the sniper is going to come over here and take a very close range +4 shot at this mining robot. And that definitely misses. And then the trophy taker is going to try his luck. He's bumped up to a +4 when attacking uncontrolled creatures against +4. And that also misses with an 8 against an 11. And since that didn't work either, he is going to come over here and join in this melee right here. And technically this unaggressive robot is not in combat, but it probably will be shortly, as 2 more robots will lose the unaggressive trait during the creature phase. And then over here, they're going to go ahead and move this Shangri-La. This robot is closer to Smada than any other figure, so the Shangri-La is going to try to draw its attention. He will run over this way 9 inches. And moving back here, 2 of Smada's soldiers are in this melee, and they're both going to choose not to do anything for their activations because they're definitely overpowered here. But then we'll go ahead and move to the creature's turn. We'll go ahead and have this one here with the claws attack first. He is +4 against just +1 since that bruiser is wounded. That is a 13 to 6, but with the +2 damage it causes, it inflicts exactly the 4 damage needed to take down the bruiser. So with the bruiser out of the way, this robot can then move into combat to add support to his other robot, who will attack with now a +6 against +0 because medics are unarmed in combat since they have no knife or hand weapon. And with that, a 3 to 22 with +2 damage, the medic takes 14 points of damage. And another member of Smada's crew goes down, which is really bad because now this yellow robot can move into combat with this hacker who's still trying to run away with this data loot. And then I did things a little out of order there. Technically, 2 robots should have lost the unaggressive trait first, so we'll go ahead and have this one. There's only 2 robots that are still unaggressive, so this one will move into combat, and he will attack +4 against +3 for the inspired Shangri-La. And with an 11 to a 6 with +2 damage, he loses 3 health. With the Shangri-La reduced to 9 health, we'll move over here, where this robot will lose its unaggressive trait and attack +4 against +4 on the trophy taker. I forgot to push record, but with +2 damage, the trophy taker suffers 5 total damage. Then this other robot will attack the engineer, +4 against +3. And that mining robot gets a 23 to 9 against 10 armor. That deals 13 plus 2 damage, which easily takes out the 12 health engineer, and now that trophy taker is double teamed by those robots. And the last robot left on the battlefield is this stunned green robot here. The closest target is this gunslinger, so it'll stand up from its stun and move 5 inches, which is not quite enough to get it into combat with the gunslinger, leaving him right out in the open to get shot again. Initiative for the next round goes to Captain Smada this time. So Captain Smada will climb out of this dumpster and move and power move right over to here, where he will attempt to inspire the sniper. Needing to roll an 8, he gets just what he needs. So his fight is increased to +4, and then we'll go over to Captain Errooo's turn, where he is going to fire his rapid fire Right here, wide open shot, +6 against +4 for that mining robot. And he hits with a 21 against 10. With +2 damage, that deals 9 damage to this robot, and it only had 6 health left, so it goes down. Then Errooo will go ahead and make a 5-inch move over to here. And from right there, he can see this striker. He'll make a +6 attack against him, but there's a bunch of modifiers. It's a hasty shot, there's intervening terrain, the striker is inspired, and strikers get a +1 defense against shooting attacks. However, the striker is encumbered for -1. So altogether, that gives him a +8 defense. But that's not enough, because Errooo gets a total of 24 against 11. And that's with the rapid fire for +2 damage, which deals a total of 14 damage, which would have taken him out even if he hadn't started this battle badly wounded. And now that central loot token that's also got a secret in it is up for grabs. And just like that, Smada's crew is getting decimated. They're not really in a good position to get any of these loot tokens off the board. So Blinky is going to go ahead and move and power move a total of 8 inches this way next to his captain. And then he will attempt to transport this sniper past this combat up next to this physical loot. Needing a 12, fails by 5, he'll go ahead and exert. And after taking a total of 6 damage with that strain, leaving him at 8 health, Blinky is able to transport the sniper right up here into contact with this physical loot. Then we'll move to the soldier phase since Ruga has fallen, and the sniper will try to unlock this. With his +3 will, he needs a 14 and only gets a 13. And with that really unfortunate failure there, they'll go ahead and move to this Pathfinder, who is going to lob another grenade over this wall, this time kind of right here on top of all this stuff, which is just close enough to hit both these Pathfinders if it lands on the right spot. He can see the location, so he's +5 against a target number of 12, so that lands right where he wants it. Against the Lady Pathfinder, +3 against +3, she defends that, and then against the other Pathfinder, +3 against +3, that hits with a 22 against 10 armor, dealing 12 damage to the green-clothed Pathfinder. So that leaves him stunned and wounded with just 2 health remaining. Then the Pathfinder is going to run over here, climb up over this ATST foot, and drop down into combat with this Repairbot. Then they're going to come around here, and they're just going to have the Shangri-La just kind of wait it out here, wait to get attacked. And then we'll jump back here, where this hacker is actually going to go ahead and attack, because if he doesn't, he's going to get double teamed by these guys. So with his +1 against +4, he rolls a total of just 3 against 23 with +2 damage. He takes 15 points of damage and apparently dies in an explosion there. And at the front of the board, I'd almost forgot about this trophy taker who's in combat with both of these robots, and he'll choose to do nothing. He'll just stay there in combat, which will bring us over to Erroo's team. They're going to start out with having this Lady Pathfinder try to unlock this data loot. With a +2 needing a 14, she fails. And she'll decide to just stand her ground there to try to unlock that next turn. Their stunned and wounded Pathfinder will stand up and then move into combat to support their Repairbot. And the Repairbot will just choose to do nothing and wait for that Pathfinder to attack him. Then we'll move back here where this trooper up on this hill, when he looks down here, he can just barely see the head of this double-clawed robot down there. So he will take a long-distance carbine shot with an additional +4 for heavy cover for that robot, giving the robot +8 defense against +3 shoot, and that definitely misses. Then the trooper is going to just run up here to the top of this hill so that both of these robots down here will see him and start running down this path. And then Erroo's team is going to set up a trap here. He's going to have this sentry robot run over here 7.5 inches, And then their burner will follow, another 7.5-inch double move. And then their gunslinger is going to run up here, climb this ladder, and on 9 inches can get right into contact with this physical loot, but you won't be able to pick it up until next turn. Their sentry here will go ahead and move. He has to climb over his buddies into cover. And then to the creature phase, both of these robots will end up climbing over the top of this skiff and double moving this direction, with the clawed one ending his double move there, and the yellow one getting up to there. And then moving up the battlefield, right in here in the middle of the board, this green-headed one will attack the Shangri-La with a +4 against +3 for the inspired monkey. And the gorilla ends up winning with a 17 against 16. And with the Shangri-La's sharp teeth, that deals +1 damage for a total of 4 damage to that mining robot. And then up here, this trophy taker is going to get attacked by the brown mining robot that's supported by his buddy, which gives him a +6 against +4. And he ends up winning with a 13 to 6, and with the strong trait deals 4 damage, leaving the trophy taker at 5 health. But then the other one is going to attack, also +6 against +4, and that is just a 9 against 5, so it doesn't deal any more damage to the trophy taker. And with another turn wrapping up, Samada's team is desperately hoping to get at least one of these loot tokens off the board, while Errooo's team is setting up a nice trap here, hoping to be able to just take down these 2 mining robots before they can cause some carnage to their team. And initiative for this round goes to Captain Errooo. So Errooo will start out this turn activating with his burner, his sentry, and his chiseler. And he'll have the chiseler start out by running over here, or rolling over here, however he moves, next to this physical loot and attempting to unlock that. With a total of +7, he gets a 16, which unlocks it. So the chiseler will pick up that loot as a free action, and then they'll go to their sentry robot here, who will fire his shotgun +2 against this +4 robot. And with that miss, he'll just move up the battlefield a little bit. And then the burner will run up over here 5 inches and take a +3 hasty shot with his flamethrower, which can hit both of these 2 robots. It's a wide open shot against the yellow one, so he's got +5 defense, and he blocks that with an 18 to a 13. And then against the other one, there's intervening terrain, so he's got a +6 defense, but that one lands its mark with a total of 21 against 14. With +2 damage, that deals 9 damage and stuns this robot. And then we'll go to Captain Errooo. He will attempt Adrenaline Surge, needing an 8. He succeeds, and he takes 2 more strain damage. And so that'll give him an additional action this turn and next. He'll start out by using his power move to come right up on top of this. And from there, he can see both of these 2 robots, and he'll fire his flamethrower at them. +6 hasty shot gives the yellow one +5 total. And that jams, which is really bad news. So that means Errooo does not get to make an attack against the second robot since his weapon is inoperable. He does still have his rapid fire he could use next turn without having to service his weapon. And with that, he's just going to now do his movement action right over. Let's put him right here. Going to Captain Smada's turn. They want to try to keep these enemy robots away from their sniper that's going to try to get maybe their only loot token off the board. So Smada and Blinky have devised a plan. Smada is going to attempt to inspire this trophy taker, needing just an 8. And he will go ahead and exert for 2. So that will increase his fight by +1. And then Smada is going to power move and move off this way. They're going to kind of start their retreat. And then since Ruga is dead, we're going to jump over to Blinky, and he is going to attempt to transport this trophy taker out of combat. He needs a 12 for that, and he succeeds. So Blinky will take another point of strain, but that will move this guy out of combat over to here to draw these robots towards him instead of towards the sniper. And then Blinky will go ahead and power move and move this direction right up to there. And going to Erroo's soldier phase, they'll start out with having this Pathfinder here attempt to unlock this data loot with her +2 will, and unlocks that with a total of 16. So that loot will pop up right next to her, and she unfortunately can't pick that up with her movement action. And then speaking of picking up loot, this gunslinger will pick up this physical loot that's right here. And after putting the battlefield back together, she'll come over here, climb down this ladder, and then drop down once she's at a safe height with her total of 3-inch movement over to that ladder. And then they're going to have this trooper fire his carbine at the yellow robot there with a +3 against +4 defense, and that is a tie with 11 to 11. He'll then climb down, move between these guys over to right here to attract the robots this way instead of towards their chiseler. Then their sentry is going to fire his shotgun, +2 against +4. And that misses with an 18 to a 22. And then the sentry will move up here so that he and the trooper can tag team against these robots as they move in. And moving up to the front of the board, the Pathfinder and the Repairbot will choose to just simply stay in combat and do nothing, which brings us to Smada's soldier phase, and the enemy Pathfinder will attack the robot. He's a +3 against +2 for the supported Repairbot. And the Repairbot wins with a 17 to a 7, dealing 6 damage with its knife. And the Repairbot will choose to stay in combat to keep his Pathfinder supported. And then we'll jump to this sniper up here, who will attempt once again to unlock this physical loot with his +3 will. And he barely misses again with 13. And with that second failure to unlock, he'll just simply move over to this side so that if he ever does unlock it, he'll be able to get to the edge quicker. And then we'll move to the transported trophy taker, who will fire his shotgun here at this robot. That's a +4 against +4, and this time he hits with a total of 18. That is a shotgun, which gives him +1 damage. So that 5 points of damage stuns this robot. And then, since this Shangri-La will choose not to attack this turn, we'll go to the creature phase. Starting with highest health enemies, we'll have this brown Repairbot move into combat and attack, +4 against +4. And the trophy taker wins with a 19 against 13. And that deals 5 damage, leaving the robot at 11 health. Then the trophy taker will push himself out of combat an inch. And then this other robot that also has 11 health will move into combat with his 1 action, but can't attack because he was stunned. Then we'll go back here, and the green-headed robot will attack the Shangri-La, +4 against +3 for the monkey. And the monkey wins with a critical hit with a total of 23 and +5 damage, for a total of 14 damage, which takes down that green-headed robot. And then we'll move to the back of the table, where the yellow one will move into combat here. These two soldiers will both snap into combat. And I rolled randomly for it to attack the sentry, who will be a +5 with support against +4 for the robot. But the robot wins with 21 to 15, dealing 12 damage with the strong trait, which wounds the sentry. And then the stunned robot will stand up and move into combat with a single action because it was stunned. Initiative for the next round goes to Errooo. Now, there is the rule that if a team rolls 4 or less, they get to place a robot on the table. But that only happens once per game, so no more robots are entering, even with those lousy initiative rolls. Captain Errooo will start out this turn by activating with this Chiseler robot, who's just within 3 inches. He'll have the Chiseler with his physical loot move 4.5 inches over to right here. Then Errooo will move and power move up behind him and attempt to fling the robot, needing just a 7, and he fails that. And 1s are actually only an automatic failure on a stat roll, so he can't exert for that, so he'll exert for 6 and take 1 strain, which puts him down to 5, to go ahead and fling this robot 6 inches over to here, which does leave him stunned. And then Errooo has 1 more action left because of his adrenaline surge, and he will just use that to move 3 more inches towards this unclaimed data loot token over here. And then moving to Captain Smada's turn, he is going to try to inspire Blinky. Needing an 8, he'll go ahead and exert for 3. And with that shameless spamming of a power to gain some experience, Smada will just power move and move off the table, which brings us to Blinky's turn. And he is going to try to once again transport this trophy taker, needing a 12, and he succeeds again. So that'll move this trophy taker 6 inches right over to here. And then Blinky is just going to go ahead and power move and move off the table. And going to the soldier phase, this Lady Pathfinder will pick up this loot that she unlocked, and she will run 7 inches with her data loot to right here. And then they're going to go ahead and have their Pathfinder attack with support. He is wounded, so that is a +3 against +3. And with a 13 against 4, he does win, dealing 3 points of damage to that Pathfinder. And that'll leave Smada's Pathfinder wounded with just 4 health remaining. So now the Repairbot will attack with support. He is a +2 against +1. And with a 7 to an 8, the Pathfinder wins that. He doesn't deal any damage, but he'll choose to just stay in combat with the Repairbot. So the Repairbot can't come after the sniper up here. And then we'll move back here to the back of the battlefield, where this burner will move into combat right here. And then he'll attack with the support of the sentry. That's a +5 against +4. And the burner wins with a total of 21 to 14. And the burner uses his knife to cut out some wiring off that mining robot for 6 damage. And then the sentry back here, the sentry robot, will move over here into combat with this robot, and he'll go ahead and attack. The trooper does not add support because he's also in combat with the other robot. He is just a +3 against +4, but he ends up winning with a 19 to a 17. That deals 5 damage, bringing the mining robot down to 2. So the trooper next to him is going to go ahead and attack with the support of the sentry, making it a +4 against +4. However, the trooper isn't so lucky. With 14 and +2 damage, that trooper takes 5 points of damage. And with those attacks done, this sentry here will choose not to attack because he's wounded and doesn't want to die. And so instead we'll go to the gunslinger, who can move 4.5 inches with her physical loot right up to here. And then we'll go to Smada's soldier phase, and they're going to start out with having this sniper go for the 3rd time as being a charm with his +3 will to unlock this physical loot. And he finally unlocks it with a 19. So with his treasures in hand, he will finally climb down from here and just kind of huddle into this corner so that enemy robots can't see him. And then they'll go ahead and have their trophy taker just run off the board. Their Shangri-La here, who took down this green-headed robot, is going to start retreating. He'll run right over here. And then their Pathfinder, he's wounded now. He's just going to stay in combat to tie them up so they can't come after the sniper here. So that brings us to the creature phase. I'll just have these two move. Neither of these two robots can see anybody, so this one will move 5 inches this way, where now he can see the Shangri-La, so he'll move 2.5 inches further. And this one here, rolled to randomly move 5 inches this way. He can see nobody, so he will end his action there. And then into the back melee back here, the yellow robot will go first because it has more health, and it will attack the sentry because he has the lowest health. And the sentry is supported by one buddy, so he's at +3 against +4. And the sentry barely loses with a 20 to a 21, and that easily takes down the sentry. And then the claw-wielding robot will attack the trooper because he has less health than the sentry. The trooper is supported, so it's a +4 against +4. And the trooper loses, but doesn't take any damage, luckily. Initiative for the next round goes to Smada. Since Smada has already moved off the battlefield, we'll go to Errooo, who will just simply come up here on this skiff and use his action to pick up this data loot that's been sitting here for most of the game. For the soldier phase, all that Smada's team will do is have this sniper run off the board with this loot. They'll have this Pathfinder still just kind of stay there. He doesn't want to die by fighting. And this Shangri-La, who can run 9 inches, will come over here, just trying to get off the board to safety. Then to Erroo's team, this Pathfinder can run off the board with this data loot. And in the back, this Chiseler can run off the board with his physical loot, with his 1 stunned action. And that just brings us to this combat here. And they'll start out with having their trooper make a supported attack against the claw-wielding robot. It's a +4 against +4, and the trooper ends up winning with a 16 against 11. But since he's wielding a knife, that only ends up dealing 1 point of damage against the 14 armor, leaving the robot at 1. So then the sentry that's right there will attack. He'll be a +3, no support is given, against +4. And he loses. That's a 10 with +2 damage. The sentry robot does take 1 point of damage. And the burner will decide not to do anything for his action, which leaves just this gunslinger, who will move another 4.5 inches toward the table edge. And then, since nobody in this combat wants to do anything with the risk of death, we'll go to the robot phase, where the yellow robot will attack the trooper because he has less health. The burner does add support, so it's a +4 against +4. And the trooper gets a 20 against 6. So with his knife, he deals 5 damage, bringing the yellow robot down to 5. And then the clawed robot will attack him, again with support. +4 against +4. And the trooper loses, but no damage is dealt. And with nothing significant coming from that melee battle, I'm going to go ahead and call the game here. The 2 robots remaining over here would be able to make random movements, but that's not going to do anything game-wise. And at the start of the next turn, Errooo back here would be able to escape with the loot that he's carrying, which would end the game, meaning we don't need to figure out what's going on here. And these guys that are becoming pacifists here would be able to live to fight another battle. We'll start out the after-game wrap-up with survival rules, starting with Sergeant Ruga, who was killed with a grenade. He is fine, and then the sentry, who was taken down by a robot, is also fine. And for the crew of the Negator, starting with the Striker, who is taken down by Erroo's rapid fire, he is dead this time. They'll go ahead and use their advanced medical suite to roll that again, and he is badly wounded. He'll start another battle at low health. Now their Engineer, he is dead after all the ship upgrades he did. Their Medic is fine, their Hacker is fine, and their Bruiser is also fine. And actually the Striker can use their faction bonus with the UMI to add +1 to his survival roll, which puts him above the badly wounded threshold, so he'll be at full life for the next battle. For after-game powers, starting with Captain Smada's investments on a 10, he gets that. Haggle on an 11, he gets that. And then down here, for Blinky, he gets Treasure Seeker on a 14. Fails that, and I almost forget about Information Broker on an 11. And he gets that. For experience points, the Mercenary Commanders used 6 powers successfully. They only unlocked 2 of those loot tokens. They took down 3 of the robots, which gave 10 experience points each. And altogether, they got 200 experience points, plus the 95 they had left. I gave them 295. They spent 200 of that to decrease the activation number of Adrenaline Surge from 8 down to 7, and decrease Coordinated Fire down from 10 to 9. And that puts Errooo at level 24 and Ruga at level 11. And that leaves them with 95 experience points remaining. For Smada and Blinky, they combined to successfully use 9 powers. They unlocked 3 of the loot tokens, even though they only secured 1. And they only took down 1 of those robots. And altogether, they got 230 experience, combined with the 55 they already had. It gave them 285 to use. They went ahead and lowered the activation number of Life Leech by 1, down to 10 or 11 since he's wearing light armor, putting Smada at level 23. And Blinky is now up to level 8, and he reduced the activation number of Transport down to 11. That leaves them with 85 experience points remaining. For loot rolls, in this scenario, whichever team recovers the central loot, they get to make 2 rolls and choose which one they want. And they'll choose the trade goods, which are worth 400 credits instead of the advanced weapon. And then for their next physical loot, a 19. And that is an alien artifact. We'll roll it again. That's a Robo Lock, which is useful for using Control Robot, which neither of these two have. So they'll sell that for 200. For their 2 data loot, the 9 is information worth 125 credits, and the other one is D20 times 20 credits, which is 320 credits. With everything that Erroo's team collected and sold, combined with the money that they already had, they had 1,905 credits to spend, so they went ahead and purchased an extra quarters to let them take an extra specialist soldier. And so with that, they upgraded their Chiseler robot to a case cracker so that he'll be a little better at unlocking things and staying alive on the battlefield. And that leaves them with 830 credits left over, but there was nothing in the black market worth purchasing. And for Smada's team, their sniper pulled off their 1 physical loot. That's an alien artifact. And that is a Razor Derringer, which is only useful if a commander knows the concealed firearm power. So they'll go ahead and sell that for 350 credits. And since they're able to sell that Razor Derringer and get 20% extra due to their haggle, combined with what they already had, they had 1,110 credits to spend. And they went ahead and spent 800 to purchase a science lab that can give them some expendables after a battle. And with the death of their engineer, they went ahead and spent 100 to hire a new gunner to their team. For faction bonuses, since Erroo's team destroyed 2 or more mining robots, they get to increase Molly, Penthelia Station, or Hanera by +1. None of these will really matter because it doesn't bring any of them to the threshold level of 3, but they'll just increase Hanera by +1. And then each team gets to increase either the Freeholders or the Darksiders by +1. And this also won't matter for either of the teams, but Errooo will increase the Darksiders to a total of 4, and Smada will increase their Darksiders to 8. For investigation points, Erroo's team gained 4 for recovering 4 loot, and they get a bonus +1 for their standing with the Darksiders, giving them 29 investigation points. And Smada's team gained just 1 for recovering 1 loot, but they do gain an additional 1 for their standing with the Darksiders as well, giving them a total of 25 investigation points. And the crews get to use these points at the start of the next battle, which is the last scenario for the Last Prospector campaign, called the Final Showdown. They can spend those investigation points to add additional crew members to their team, to give them some rerolls they can use during the battle, to give them some healing surges to keep their crew members alive, or to increase their initiative rolls. And I'll explain how they'll be using their investigation points at the start of the next battle, as the crews of the Iron Golem and the Negator face off in the final showdown scenario for the Last Prospector campaign for Stargrave. I'm Alan with Bricks and Blocks Gaming. I want to thank you for watching and play well.